Okay, according to the Google Hangouts, I should be recording at this point. So this video is going to be kind of quick, I hope, and you're going to see it as just an archived video, but I am actually using the Google Hangouts to live stream it, but I have it set to private because I'm not really going to be addressing any chat or anything, so I just wanted to get my point across really quick. Anyway, enough tangents. Let's get right into it. So Easter has come and gone, and there was a little bit of drama, I guess, if you will, on Easter. Let me close out of some things here so I can share the screen properly. All right, so what happened was every holiday, or most holidays, Google on their main page has what they call the Google Doodle. You're probably familiar with these if you've used Google over the years. It's just a little bit of artwork depicting whatever celebration happens to take place on that day. Now, for the, I believe, 17th year in a row, Google has decided not to do a doodle for Easter. Now, look, I'm going to tell you right off the bat that this is not a problem for me. I don't care. I don't need a corporation to tell me what is important. That's not the issue. And a lot of people have decided to say, well, you guys are just being outraged about the fact that Google isn't acting the way that you want them to. And I believe that, while there may be some people that are doing that, I believe that this is a fundamental misunderstanding of the commentary that I personally saw and one that I posted myself. And what I mean by that is that Google, let's just see here. So you've got this Jeff Holiday joker. You may know who he is, but I'm not going to get into that. So somebody posted, what a gorgeous Christ-inspired Google Doodle today. God bless, happy Easter. And as you can see, the Google page is blank. And of course, Jeff here makes a very mocking post of it. This is great, though, because Lacey Green got absolutely knocked down a peg here. It's kind of funny. So Lacey says, Google isn't a church and not everyone is a Christian, Margaret. And she says, stick to your dildos and abortions. To obviously which there was no reply, but that's not the point. I'm kind of getting off the tangent here. I'm gonna try to pull up the other post that the point I was trying to. Okay, so what I said in response to her post was, if that's the hill you're going to die on, perhaps you'd like to explain why they have a subpage dedicated to Ramadan. After all, not everyone is a Muslim. So my point here is not that Google has to act in a particular way. It's simply that there is a clear bias and that this is a company that postures about inclusivity and diversity, and yet they are choosing to actively ignore what is arguably I think it is personally a much more important holiday to the Western world than something like Ramadan is. And now Ramadan probably has a lot of people that celebrate it, but it's not what you would call an American holiday or a Westernized holiday. Now, that doesn't mean there's nobody in the West that, celebrates it, of course, but that's not where it originated. So my issue is, of course, not that Google is making this choice. It's that Google has double standards. Google wants to tell you that they're inclusive. They want to tell you that they're diverse, that they think representation is important. And yet when it comes to something that they want to ignore, they don't feel they have to represent people. And again, representation is a garbage argument, in my opinion. I don't think it's important. I think I can personally choose to find importance and value in things that I choose without the direction of some corporation to tell me. But if this is the standard that Google has decided to set, then they need to live up to their own standard. Otherwise, they're being hypocritical. They're showing that they don't truly believe the crap that they spout off. And to be quite honest, I know they don't, What they are doing is pushing an agenda. And it's not outrage. It's not being triggered to point out the double standards of that agenda. In fact, it's important to do so, to put on display their hypocrisy so that nobody has to take their posturing seriously. So, of course, she never replied to that comment. But this isn't about Twitter exchanges. This is just about the fact that they have misunderstood the argument. They're trying to say that, oh, well, people are just being outraged because they don't have the representation. They're just being like the so-called social justice warriors. But that's not it. They're trying to point out that if something like Ramadan was being ignored, people would be crying about diversity. Where's the inclusion? You're being exclusionary to these people. So why does the standard not apply when it's directed at Easter? That is the question being brought up here. That is the point that we are trying to make. So Jeff here says April 1st, as though it's some kind of just a prank, bro, to ignore Easter. And so I pointed out, considering they haven't acknowledged Easter since the year 2000, no. Because they did have a Google doodle once in the year 2000, but it hasn't been done since then. Again, it's fine. It's not a big deal. It's not going to wreck your life if you don't see an Easter bunny or a cross or something like that. But it's the fact that there is a double standard. So, of course, his response is very, very, high intellect, highbrow conversation here. So it has nothing to do with April 1st. They just don't bother with it. It's fine, but it's inconsistent. And to that he says, fair enough. Which, okay, I got my point across. But then I do want to say that later on his live stream show, I happened to catch a clip where he went off about people complaining about Easter not being celebrated. And now, to be fair, he did have a point in saying that you don't need Google to tell you what to care about, and you don't. But again, fundamental misunderstanding of the points being made, and he used the wrong comments to represent that argument, because the argument that he's making is not the people. The people that he's arguing against about it aren't the ones that are saying we need representation. They're simply pointing out the double standard that Google has put on display here. And I think that in itself is important to bring attention to. It's not the fact that Google has to celebrate holidays. It's not the fact that they have to represent your religion. They don't. And to be quite honest, they should either do all of them that are important to the West or none of them. If you're going to be inclusive, go the full mile. If you're not, just admit that you're going to celebrate what you want, and it has nothing to do with diversity. It has nothing to do with inclusion. It just has to do with you promoting the things you want to promote, which, fair, their company, they can do that. It doesn't necessarily make it correct, but at the end of the day, it is their choice. But pointing out that this is hypocrisy is not being outraged about not being represented. What it is showing off the double standards of a company that can't keep their own narrative straight according to their standards. And that is why you point out that they decide to push these other holidays, but ignore what is probably a very what I see as a very popular holiday in the US, at least. And that's really all I wanted to say about that. So thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next time.